Are you someone, or do you know someone who has a lot of trouble showing their love to the world? I know I've struggled with it. And so today, let's look at why humans can feel love but have blocks or challenges in showing it. I felt called to talk to this topic today mainly from my own experience. As I finished my automatic writing this morning after meditating, it became very obvious that this is a topic that's very close to my heart, and one that, if anything, I'm really speaking to myself as I record this, not just those of you that have chosen to watch, because it is a challenge that I've had to work through for a number of years, no matter how much wisdom or understanding I've gained into human behavior, psychology, and and the ways in which we can become the most authentic versions of ourselves. I've found that this limitation that I've felt in being able to openly share joy and love with those around me has been a profound one. And so we will start with the theory and the understanding, because that can still very much help us to maybe go a bit easier on ourselves as to why some of us really struggle with openly expressing love. And for me, I think it's important to start with how much we really depend on our caregivers in the early phases of life. Now, this is a theme that runs through a number of my videos, so, and it's possibly something not new to you viewing, but just in case, 0 to 7 is a phase where we have not yet moved into a more analytical way of looking at the world. Beta brainwave activity only starts to come online from about roughly the age of 7 onwards, where we can start to be more discerning and make our own decisions about how we see the world and I guess who we want to be. Before that, we are highly influenced by the environment around us because of moving through or adding levels of sophistication to our brainwave patterning, starting with delta, then theta, then alpha brainwave patterning, sort of gradually developing through those first 7 years. And we're basically in a state where we are programmed to do whatever we need to do to feel safe within the environment we're growing up in. We can't survive on our own. We can't get our own food on our own. We can't get our own shelter. We can't do any of those things on our own. We need those around us. So whatever we felt that we needed to do to fit into that environment, whether that be not rocking the boat and staying quiet, or getting everything right, or people pleasing, or withdrawing, we did it. And some of it is in reaction to the way we were raised, or for most of us, parented. We're not always all raised by our parents, so I want to point that out. Any caregiver can have an influence on us in that early period. And so we're influenced by the caregivers in two ways. One, either trying to keep them happy and appease them, or we end up just mirroring the way that they deal with the world. And that primal drive to fit in, to belong, to feel accepted within whatever environment we grew up in, it holds. it holds through the lifetime. And so then, later on, as is the case with me, when I've sought to be warm and open and loving and joyful in interestingly, it's only certain relationships that I find more of a barrier, not all. So not so much with my partner, but with my children, I think, because of the way it was modeled to me, I find it very challenging to have that natural warmth. And then the other area would be if I were to go out in public and just openly connect with a random individual walking down the street, and an area that I've definitely made a lot of improvement on in terms of being able to warmly engage with a stranger, but certainly one that, or an area that didn't come naturally to me, has not come naturally to me, and again required me to do that inner work with parts of my psyche, parts of my personality that have dampened that down because it didn't feel safe to. And even though my logical mind very much knows that it is safe to, and that there is no disastrous consequence for me opening myself up and expressing myself joyfully or lovingly in the world, there's other parts that just subconsciously do not believe that it's safe to do that. That some kind of rejection or abandonment, or that it just won't be reciprocated. I think that's an interesting area as well. When I've explored and tried to understand what the different aspects of myself that have limited me in that way are holding back for, one of them is, well, what if I show warmth and lovingness to a stranger down the street, and then they don't do the same back? They're cold back. They don't give anything back. And so, yeah, that would seem to be clearly a part of me that expects the same back, or a part also that sees that as rejection, not receiving the same kind of warmth back from someone else. And so I have these beautiful experiences when I'm in meditation, where I feel very open, peaceful, loving, connected to humanity. Yet I could still walk down the street, potentially, depending on the space I'm in on a given day, and potentially be quite open, or still be a bit insular if that part of me is kind of jumped back in again, because that more, I guess, aloof part of me has been programmed from such a young age to kind of shield myself from hurt, rejection, a lack of reciprocity in how I might share my emotions or my connection with another human being. But over time, in two different ways for me. One is doing the deeper work, checking in with those parts, helping those parts of me come into a more relaxed and balanced state, realizing that they don't have to protect me anymore. So that's the ongoing internal work, and as I've referenced in numerous other videos, internal family systems work is my kind of preferred modality of working with those parts, my internal parts, and helping them to balance. But also to just consciously choose over and over again. This is where mindfulness comes into it, where a sense of awareness can help in those moments to simply override that hesitation, override those parts that can want to be a bit fearful and hold me back, and just do it. Just open myself up. And I feel like I've still got a way to go, hence what I mentioned at the start of this video around this is speaking to myself as much as it is to others. But I thought, if I'm challenged by this pattern and still working through it myself, then perhaps others could benefit from my reflections. And my partner is certainly one person that is helping me a great deal in this area as someone who is naturally joyful and connects with anyone and everyone really that she comes in contact with out in the world, well, at least on most days. And she's an absolute inspiration to me in the way that she does that. I know that she's been brought into my life for a reason to help me with that side. When I thought about it the other day, in fact, I thought, of the qualities that I try to embody, peace or a calm is one that I've made a lot of progress with over time, and I think I embody peace and calm in a way that benefits myself and my clients and anyone, I guess, that I come in contact with. But the joy element is one that's not always as freely flowing in all contexts. And my partner, she embodies joy so readily, and it's a gift to have her leading the way with that. An example was a couple of weeks ago, we went for a very long walk wearing headphones. We had synchronized Spotify playlists so that we had our favorite dance music. We both love dancing. And as we walked the track near the beaches in the local area, we'd both be dancing along as we're walking and really getting into our favorite songs. And when someone would approach the other way, I'd tend to sort of tone it down and go back to walking. Whereas my partner, she'd just keep going. She wasn't concerned, and she invariably got amazing responses from the people walking past that were like, yeah, go for it, just feeding off that joy. And I was, just thinking to myself, why is it so hard for me just to really just stay open? And as I stated earlier in this video, I think I know the reasons why. It's just that those parts are taking time to really loosen their grip on limiting me in authentically showing that joyful, loving aspect to the world in all situations. So if you're struggling in a similar way that I do, or know someone that maybe you're close to and you get disappointed that they're not able to outwardly show that lovingness that you suspect and know that they have inside of them, this can explain why. It's not because there's a lack of love. In fact, it is my firm, strong belief that every human being has love in there. Now, that might sound controversial with some people in the world that look very evil, but to me, that is just because it's been covered over so heavily by programming, by fear, by pain, that it would appear that there's no love in the hearts of some individuals in the world. So I know that can be a controversial comment to make for some of you listening, particularly those that have been subjected to people like that in a traumatizing way. But it is my belief anyway, from years of my own experience and research, and certainly hearing some very respected others talk on that topic, that it's not there at all, that love. It's just very hidden and buried. And so but just for the average person, let's say that we haven't judged as being highly toxic or quote unquote evil, the love is there. It's just covered over or restricted by these protective parts that think it's not safe to fully show it. So maybe be kind to that individual for the fact that they're struggling to show it, particularly when they express to you that they want to and just find it hard. Models like the internal family systems model definitely provide a pathway through which to help those aspects, those parts, to restrict us less. And I just think if we can chip away at it, just day by day, find little ways to be a little bit more open, challenge ourselves a little more on being more authentically connected to our hearts, the essence of who we are that came into this world loving, then we can whittle away that programming that stops us from feeling connected to each other in such deep, profound ways. And it's not just about feeling that connection to our family and our friends, our loved ones. That's what we're capable of on a grander scale as humanity. And I fully believe that more and more people are waking up to that and realizing that as much as the mainstream media sometimes will make us feel like human beings can be selfish and start wars, etc., that is the very small percentage of humanity. It is not the majority. In fact, the research that's been done around disastrous situations in the world and when things really get hard is the vast majority of humanity step in to help each other, are altruistic, are loving towards each other when there's a crisis. Because we are naturally loving. That is who we are. So I just wanted to share all that today, and I hope that if you're someone that struggles with really showing that love, that you can just patiently chip away at it and know that it is safe to show that love in all and every way. Thank you.